hop uncensored, viral breaking news. Oh God and Sammy, two stand-up dudes, raw and uncut interviews. Feed the culture in the world, ever changing. The brothers bringing you closer. Mikey tapped in, hottest unbiased content. Like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. Screaming the truth louder than they scream the lies. Unplugged from the matrix, support my God. Podcast that bypass the test of time. Hip hop uncensored, here to open your mind. Bringing you the latest from the world of entertainment. It's time to get into it. Y'all ready? Let's do it.
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. I'm your brother, God from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What up, y'all? It's your man Sam, and CEO of Viral Hip Hop News. You're in the building for a very special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We got a special guest in the building, former Terror Squad member Charlie Rock LD is on the podcast. What's good with you, family? How you feeling?
You already know I be that OG BX legend, Charlie Rock LD, original Terror Squadian. It's an honor to be on motherfucking Hip Hop News Uncensored, man. You dudes is gangster. Y'all stay in the yard. I had to come here and motherfucking give an interview. You already know.
Hey, man, we appreciate that, man. We appreciate you, man. So how you feeling, brother? We entering the last month of this year, man, going into 2023 with a bang, man. How's life out there in your world?
I'm good. 22's been a very good year for me, man. I started my new business. It's doing good. I started doing a lot of things like working with the kids. I'm an influencer. Like 22 is definitely a good year for your boy C Rock. I started my podcast. I opened up a clothesline. Like, we in the yard, homie. We in the yard.
Mark.
For sure. So take us back, man. I guess obviously you grew up in the boogie down Bronx, right? Take us back to that time growing up, and is this different now than what it was back then? Take us back to the glory days.
Oh, hell yeah, man. My time was the 80s. That's when I was a teenager. You know what I mean? That's when rap started. That's when the rap game came on. That's when the crack was out. I mean, I have a podcast on Charlie Rock LD, repping the real. And last Monday I did a segment on trapping in the 80s in NYC, and it was crazy. We went in. We had all type of 80 stories. Yo, people got to check them out. That's on my podcast here on my YouTube channel, Charlie Rock LD, repping the real. And the 80s was crazy, man. I love the 80s. I'm definitely an 80s baby, man. A whole different vibe from it is now. But those that don't know, the 80s was the most deadliest, the most violent, the most money getting decade in NYC. Yeah, man. I know the 90s and the 2000s did their thing, but the 80s was something extra special, man.
Dope. So when did you get introduced to hip hop? Obviously, that started making its way through New York, like better than crack and better than anything else that was negative in the culture. It was hip hop that was really bringing it out of the gutter. So when did you first get introduced to hip hop?
I mean, I really wasn't even aware that I was actually being part of history, man. I mean, I remember the times where the dudes who bring the speakers out into the park and they'll throw a jam. That's what they used to call it, the jam. They used to steal the electricity from the light posts and run the crazy long electricity cord. Yeah. Dudes used to bring out the equipment, the DJ equipment, and right there in the park, man, and just start jamming. And then the MCs who come in, then we'll call them MCs, not rappers. And it was a beautiful thing, man. I witnessed all of that. I was definitely a witness to all of that, to the breakdancing with crews like Rocksteady and Crazy Legs, with the graffiti. The graffiti was crazy big. You know, I remember going a few times to the train yard with your boy Joey Krills because he used to tag up crack. So I used to go hold him down in the train yards while he used to do his thing on the train. But yeah, experience hip hop was, I'm honored that I was able to be part of history, man. I just had no idea back then what this shit was going to blow up to, man. Here we are 50 years later, and hip hop is bigger and stronger than ever.
Indeed.
For sure. So talk to us about, when you first did you meet Big Pun, like Terror Squad. Talk about your time meeting up with Terror Squad or however that got started.
Well, what happened was we had the original Terror Squad. This is way before the rapping and all that. We had the original members.
Okay.
Again, this was years and years before anybody started rapping. So we was in Forest Projects, which is on Trinity Avenue. It used to be me, Fat Joe, Tom Montana, and like 50 other dudes. And we was youngins, you know, we was teenagers. Before the drug game, before the bodies dropping and all the extracurricular activities, we was just a bunch of young Puerto Ricans. Back then, Forest Projects is mad deep. They got like maybe 6, 7, 8 projects on one block, so they mad deep. And the majority of them was black. And everybody back then was on some God body shit. So they used to call Forest Projects Godsville. So the little Puerto Rican crew that was there was like 40, 50 of us. We used to band together, you know what I mean? And we used to stick together and hang with each other, hold each other down. And that's where the name Terror Squad came about. There's a lot of original members. A lot of them are dead now. You know what I mean? There's really not too many of us left. So naturally, once Joe started rapping and everything and all that, that's the name that he blessed his rap crew with. As far as Pun, Cuban, Remy, and all of them, we got love for them, but they definitely wasn't an original. You know, they came on into the rap scene.
When did you start getting into rhyming?
Where did I start it? What?
Getting into rhyming, getting into hip hop.
I was never a rapper. I was never really a rapper. I mean, a few years ago, I attempted to open Underboss Records, and I made a few songs or whatever, but I'm definitely not a rapper. You know what I mean? I'm an OG. Charlie Rock is known in the hood as a legend for the crazy extracurricular activities I was into. You know, at the age of 18, I got snatched up for 2 bodies, and I copped out to 20 years for not ratting on my homies, you know, and a lot of people know me from putting in that work. I used to have mad blocks locked down, you know. I went from the they used to call us stick-up kids.
Yeah.
So they used to call, every block had their own little stick-up kids, you know what I mean? So at the age of 13, I was already a stick-up kid. We used to stick people up with sheepskins and bombers. You two is too young for that shit. Y'all don't remember the sheepskins and the bombers. I used to run up on dudes in clubs and parties, on the bus stop, in the school cafeteria, you know, pull out on dudes and make them run their sheepskins and their bombers. And if your Adidas was fly, you was coming up out of those too, you know what I mean? So that was my little thing there. You know, I started off as a stick-up kid. That was at 13. At 15, 16, I started doing I stepped it up to bodegas and supermarkets. Fat Joe just pulled out a book called Book of Jose, and he talks about me, how I showed him the game. You know what I mean? How I was there 100 times for him. He got all types of stories. He calls me C. He don't call me Charlie Rock LD. The nigga's crazy. He calls me C, but everybody know who the hell C is. But in one of the segments, he's talk about how him and Tone used to be on some beating people up shit, you know what I mean? And, you know, stealing their chains or whatever. And Charlie Rock was already pulling heists. You know, I was knocking off supermarkets, grocery stores, bodegas, all types of shit. I used to have a little shotty. We used to call him Little Man. In broad day, like 3 o'clock, while a motherfucking supermarket is open, I would run up in there with my team, put everybody on the floor, and, you know, and just rob everything. But that was the thing back then. Everybody was doing it. I'm not saying I'm the only one. You know what I mean? Back then, this was that era, the 80s. You know, that's the era I grew up in. After the robbing, I got into the drug dealing, and that's when shit really took off. And, you know, the violence really came in. You know, your boy was making some serious money. And when you're making serious money, you already know all type of, you know, wolves and gangsters and thugs is going to get at you. You know what I mean? So not only that you have to worry about the feds, you have to worry about the stick-up kids, the extortionists, because niggas will try to extort you. You had to hold your block down and make sure nobody else put work on your block. Like, you know, it was you had to be crazy gangster to hold a block down. And your boy Charlie Rock had many strips. I had like 4 or 5 strips, not blocks, strips. And with that came a lot of violence and mayhem. And, you know, that's where I got my status of legend at, because I used to do some crazy off-the-wall shit. One of the shit I used to do, like, if a dude ran off with my package, I would tie his feet with a rope, put it to the end of my bumper, and ride around the block with his ass. Like, you know, I was known for shit like that. Another shit, let's say I got a new pistol and I wanted to test it out. I would get a crackhead or a dope fiend, lace him with a vest, and just shoot him just to make sure that the vest and the gun work.
Holy shit.
No, so you know, I've been known for all extracurricular activities, man. And it is with a lot of shit I can't even talk about. You know what I mean? I got to take it to the grave. Like the fact that I stood in front of a judge at 18 for a double murder, and I took 20 motherfucking years. I knew at 18 years old, you don't rat. You know what I mean? The code was strong. It is what it is. You couldn't be nothing. You could never be a rat. And to this day, I never ever said who I took the 20 years for, and I would never say it. You know what I mean? That's like something I got to take to the grave. But you know, that's why Big Pun shouted me out on his album.
Yeah.
And on his album, he was like, "Yo, Charlie Rock LD, because his lips don't flap." Like, you know, that was my reputation, being a gunslinger. You know, laying niggas out, getting that bread, and I was into anything. I was known to snatching niggas up and, you know, asking for money. You know, busting in them doors and taking other niggas that was making 50, 100, 200,000. Like, we was doing all types of licks, and you know, your boy was down with D, all of the above, man.
Right.
They didn't just give me my title. I earned that shit.
No doubt. So it's safe to say you was pretty much part of like the street team, the Terror Squad. Not necessarily. I mean, you was running with the music guys, but you was the street cat. We all know about the Terror Squad.
I mean, there's different eras. If we talking about the 80s, you know what I mean? Then that was the street team. So I went in 88. I did 2.5 years on Rikers Island. I did another decade and change up north. I came home in 2002. By the time I came home, Fat Joe was already a made nigga in the rap game. You know what I mean? Pun already had passed. So, you know, when I came home in 2002, I jumped right into the Terror Squad, the rap crew, you know? And, you know, that's when, you know, the rapping began as far as that issue came. You know what I mean?
Right. I could remember listening to Terror Squad back around that time. I was in high school, and they were one of the most underrated, hottest groups at the time. I really thought they was going to be way bigger than they turned out to be. Talk about those times when you guys were pretty much on top of the world, and y'all were like, it was different because it was Latinos. You know what I mean? That was rapping. So to talk about that.
As far as being Latino in the rap game?
Yeah, as far as, you know, early on when Terror Squad was hot, the music Terror Squad in 2002.
All right. Well, like I said, when I came home in March of 2002. Pun already had passed, but Pun definitely put us on the map. You know what I mean? Joe had 2 projects out and he did well. He sold a couple of 100,000, but he didn't go gold. He didn't go platinum. Pun was that nigga. Pun, the expectations Pun was for Pun to go at least gold. This is what Joe and everybody was expecting. Like, that was their highest expectation, of Pun to go at least gold. So when the dude came out double platinum at the gate, it was something phenomenal. Like, we wasn't ready for no shit like that. You know what I mean? That not only did Joe make millions and millions of dollars, but that opened up a lot of doors for him as far as to be an executive. Because after Pun blew, that's when Atlantic stepped to Joe and invested $10 million in a label imprint for Terror Squad. You know what I mean? So, like I said, not only did Pun make Joe millions of dollars, he put him on the map as far as an executive and a label owner. So Pun was that dude, man.
Right. What do you feel about later? Like, we talked to Big Pun's widow, Liza, and her attorney. They were pretty much trying to say, if you have any knowledge, if you don't, you have to speak on it. You know, that Fat Joe, you know, pretty much was holding money or stole money from Pun. Have you heard those allegations over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I definitely heard the allegations, man. I was hurt. Right. I was disgusted. You know, like, I actually heard on the radio, Joe and me already had a fallout. When I heard him on the radio, Hot 97, Liza was on there talking about that she was in a shelter and Joe hasn't given her money in over 10 years. And this dude, Joe, man, I can't believe the shit he did. He actually went on the radio, spoke, I believe it was with Funk Flex or Angie or one of them niggas. and straight told lies alive on the radio. Man, what you need to do is find a job. Like, how you gonna tell punch wives and shit like that? This nigga's crazy, man. I don't even like to talk about that, man. You know, it's just totally disgusting. You know what I mean? That, you know, you would call each other twins, and you know, the dude did phenomenal things for you, and he passed, and you're not gonna take care of his family. Like, fuck the business side, my man. You know what I mean? On some moral shit, you're supposed to take care of that family. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? So I definitely didn't agree with what Joe was doing. Definitely not.
You ever get to have a conversation with him, or when's the last type of conversation you had with Joe, and how was it?
It wasn't a good one. He actually spoke. He actually wrote again. He wrote in his book about the last time we seen each other, and this is his word in his own books. He said the last time he seen Charlie, he calls me C. He don't. Right. The dude don't say Charlie Rock LD. He says C. So he says the last encounter we had, he was coming out of Hot 97, and I ran up on him, and he said he feel I was gonna straight murder him. And, you know, he said, again, this is his words in his own books, you know. He said I ran up on him, and I wasn't looking at him in the face, and he thought I was going to straight body him. And, you know, and he said I gritted my teeth, said fuck it, and just kept it moving.
How did it go down from your perception? Did it go down the same way that he wrote it in the book? Did you guys conversate? How did it go down in your eyes, if you can speak on it?
I would say that's about 90% true what he said.
Okay. Say no more.
What a lot of dudes don't know is that I came home in 02. In 04, I caught a violation, a parole violation, so I went back up top. That's when the 50 Cent, when the G Unit Terror Squad beef was going on. So we was in the yard, and some fucking the program came on, and Joe started talking shit about 50. 50 started talking shit about Joe. I was coming home in 4 months, and dudes were straight talking garbage about Joe. At the time, that was my brother. I loved him. Being the dude that I am, no way am I didn't look at him as a rapper. I looked at him like, this is my brother. I love him, and ain't no way nobody gonna disrespect him in my presence. You know what I mean? So I got emotional, you know what I mean? I pulled out an ice pick, stabbed one of them in the neck, and we had the crazy, you know, 300 Spartan episode, and I wound up getting stabbed in the eye, you know what I mean? And I'm blind in my eye, for those that don't know, over defending Fat Joe's honor. That's how that went down.
Did he ever know about that story, Fat Joe?
Of course he does. Wow. So I come home 4 months later, like I told you, and he tells me, yo, Charlie, you know, we can't be, I can't fuck with you until you home for a minute, and I see you doing the right thing, and you're not acting up and all that. And I'm like, yo, my brother, I just finished losing an eye for you, and you telling me we can't be cool until you think that, until you feel that I'm I, like, who the fuck is you, homie? You know, and that's what he used to do. He, you know, he's famous, he's rich, and he got accustomed to everybody kissing his ass, and I wasn't that dude. I would speak to him the same way I always spoke to him. Again, out of respect, I wouldn't disrespect him or talk down to him or nothing. I would talk to him like my brother, like I would always talk to him. Like I'll talk to you on the phone, on the visit, like Charlie Rock is Charlie Rock wherever I go. You know what I mean? So I guess he just got accustomed to everybody, you know, kissing his ass and bowing down, and Charlie wasn't going for it. So when he hit me with the, yo, I know you lost the eye, I thank you for banging out for me, but it is what it is, and I didn't go for it. I basically told him, fuck you, eat a dick, I'm out of here. You're not going to treat me like you do to this niggas. He did that to a few of the dudes. He did it to Raul. He did it to another Terror Squad member named Fat Ant, and like 3 or 4 other dudes. If he would get upset with you, or you would do something he didn't approve, he would isolate you for a year. Look at the type of shit this dude was on. He would isolate you for a year, a couple of months or whatever, and, you know, no contact, no nothing. Then he'll come back, play the hero, give you a couple of dollars and come back. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the way you treat your crew, man. When you're a leader, you don't treat your crew like that, because what they do is that they hate you. When you're a leader, you're supposed to have dudes love you. You know what I mean? Not hate you. Like, how you gonna treat somebody that you grew up with like that? And unfortunately, that's the shit he was on. I wasn't going for it, and that's where our fallout came in. I went on the K-State show. I aired them out. I even made a couple of diss songs that you can hear on my page, Charlie Rock LD, repping the real, on my playlist. I made a couple of diss songs, got at him and everything. I thought if I rap it to him, he might understand the nigga better.
So I'm gonna get on some conspiracy type shit right now. I'm gonna ask you this because we hear everything that goes on in Hollywood and the music industry, people taking oaths and all this shit. And you knew Joe before Joe got famous. And I'm not saying anything about Joe being in any type of secret society, any wild shit. But knowing what we know and knowing your brother beforehand and after the fame, in your estimation, do you think it is something deeper to this music industry shit that does kind of change people in a way that makes them not visible to the real ones that came to him before?
Say no more. Of course. You have to be blind not to see it. Dudes cross over to the dark side. It is what it is. And I believe that's what Joe did. Joe crossed over to the dark side. All of a sudden, for the last 3-4 years, Fat Joe is everywhere. He don't even got an album out, but he's all everywhere. Hosting BET, doing this. The nigga's name is Joe now. It ain't hard to tell what happened. You know what I mean? Like, people cross over to the dark side and, as they say, they sell their souls for the riches and the fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And I think, fuck the deal. On a personal level, I would never do no shit like that, because how are you going to trade a few years of living well and having a couple of M's for an eternity of whatever you're gonna go through? Like, that's the crazy fucked up deal. That's what's happening in your boy Ye right now. Ye did whatever deal he wanted to. They kept their side of the bargain. They made him into a billionaire. They turned him into a household name. And now that it's time to pay the piper, your boy Ye is trying to back out. Nah, homie. You made a deal. You signed the papers, homie. It's time to pay the piper. Now all of a sudden he's talking this God shit because he regrets whatever he did. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it.
Right. I want to go back a little bit to the if you were around for any things that happened between 50 Cent and Fat Joe. I heard that got to a point where, I don't know, hands were laid on people, but it was getting close to where somebody's about to drop. Can you talk about your times with 50 Cent, Terror Squad, and G-Unit beef?
Well, that started right before I went in 04 for the violation. I don't remember them being no clashing, no hands-on, no nothing. I mean, to my understanding, 50 got tight when Joe jumped on that Ja Rule joint with Jadakiss. I got 100 guns, 100 clips, and so I guess that's when 50 took it personal. Words were exchanged. But as far as, dudes popping off or clapping at each other or whatever, to my understanding, there was none of that. You know what I mean? They kept it crazy in the street, not in the street.
No doubt, no doubt.
Growing up, when you grew up in the 80s and seeing where we at right now, like you said, you was a stick-up kid early in the conversation. I'm sure you got to do a lot of things that you probably couldn't do now, given the cameras and the type of surveillance that's out here nowadays. You'd be caught up in a couple hours the way they got angles and shit. And then also the culture of social media and how snitch culture almost became, like you said, something that was an ultimate violation. It seemed like not too long ago, and now it's accepted and damn near ignored. People don't even care about it anymore in what is distributed in mainstream. What do you think about all that? How we've changed over time, in particular in certain ways, certain codes that used to be non-negotiable?
I mean, again, you're talking to a guy that stood in front of a judge at 18 years old and took 20 years. Let's let that sink in. 20 years. When I could have easily ratted on half the niggas I was fucking with, because I was fucking with a lot of serious dudes. Dudes like Boy George, Eddie Ed, Chicky, you know what I mean? And I could have easily told on dudes, and that wasn't even an option. So the way I look at it now, I mean, everybody's just selling out, man. Like, there's no more honor. A lot of people in my comments, like you guys know, I got a YouTube page, Charlie Rock LD repping the real. I want everybody listening to this to subscribe. I got a podcast called Reppin' the Real, which is actually a live stream. Every Monday at 8 o'clock, I'm live on YouTube, Charlie Rock LD, Reppin' the Real. And it's just a shame, man. Like a lot of my comments and all, they call me the last of a dying breed. They're telling me I'm made from a different cloth. Some people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, how could you take 20 years for somebody? And, that was the mindset that it was back then. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. I feel disgusted that today there's no honor. Dudes testify on each other for not doing 6 months. Like, what you scared of 6 months for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I look at it like this. I'm an OG, and I look at it like this. And I'm talking to all you young dudes out here. You know what I mean? When you step into the trapping game, whatever you want to call it, you took an oath. Whenever you decide to step into the underworld and make money off drugs, kidnapping, licking, whatever you're doing, you took an oath, my man, to the streets. And part of that oath is that if and when your ass get arrested, you keep your mouth closed and you do your motherfucking time. You don't rat on people, man, especially your homies, dudes you grew up with. Like, I've heard some real atrocity stories, fathers ratting on their sons, daughters ratting on their mother. Like, it's crazy, man. You know what I mean? And what my thing is, you get nothing out of it. I've seen dudes testify against dudes and you still got to do 10 years. So what the hell did you get out of it, my man? That's the part I don't understand. You're going down in history as a rat, which to me is the worst thing you can do, because your honor, your integrity, and your value is the only thing they can't take away from you. Look at mine and Joe's situation right now. I'm the dude that Joe always wanted to be. Yes, he's famous. Yes, he's rich. But things like integrity, honor, and being that dude, you can't buy that, my man. I don't care how many M's you got. You can't buy that. That's a title that you have to earn. That's why it is an honor to have that title. That's why it's an honor that I could sit right here talking to you guys live on Hip Hop News Uncensored and telling you I'm that dude. I can walk anywhere with my chest out because I know I'm official. Like I said in the other interview, you cannot claim that you're loyal until your loyalty has been tested.
Facts.
You cannot claim that you're a loyal dude or female, because females get it into. You cannot claim that you're loyal until your loyalty has been tested and you passed it with flying colors. That's the same way as saying you claim that you're a murderer and you never body nothing. What the fuck? How you gonna say you're a murderer and you never body nothing? That's the same with loyalty, you know what I mean? And it is what it is. The young dudes today sell their mothers out, you know what I mean, over 6 months, and it's disgusting, you know what I mean? And it is what it is, man. I guess it's true. Your boy Charlie Rock is the last of a dying breed. I want to share something with y'all. Hear me out.
Yes, sir. Do you think?
I've been thinking long and hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start what you call the commission. I'm going to start the commission. And you guys are going to have the bragging rights to say that you heard it here on Hip Hop News Uncensored when Charlie Rock LD first mentioned it. I'm starting an organization called the Commission for OGs. And it's basically a Hall of Fame for OGs. I think that's a dope concept. I think that's going to be a dope concept. It's going to take a couple of years to really get it up off the feet. But I'm going to form a committee. We're going to, do investigations, snatch up all the OGs and, look at it like a little secret society. You know what I mean? And keep their name alive. Like a Hall of Fame for basketball, baseball. We're going to have a Hall of Fame for OGs. Dudes like John Gotti. Dudes like Al Capone. Any dude in your hood that kept it thorough, that was that dude, put in the work and definitely never testified, we're going to immortalize your name. And it's going to be the commission for OGs.
Now you've been out here for a long time. You are truly an OG. You're a man that's lived throughout decades, and I'm sure you feel fortunate to even be where you're at right now. Would you say? Absolutely. Would you take anything back? Would you do anything different? looking at it now from the perspective of an elder man when you were a child?
I mean, they say you should never regret nothing that you did because, you know, that's exactly what you wanted to do at that moment in time.
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, if I could take, and I mean, I've had a very exciting life. Like, you know, in this journey that we call life, everybody lives a different chapter at a different time in their life. So I'm no different from nobody else. I had many chapters in my life. There was a chapter when I was a stick-up kid. There was a chapter when I was a drug dealer, when I was a convict, you know, when I was with Terror Squad, when I was doing this. You know, I had many chapters in my life. And today I'm proud to say that I am no longer a gangster. I do not live that lifestyle. Your boy has reinvented himself. I'm a positive person. I do a lot of positive things in the community. I have reinvented myself, you know, and your boy is not the same boy I was back then. You know what I mean? I'm older now. I have more maturity, and I'm nowhere near the same person that I was back then. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm doing a lot of positive things. I'm an influencer today. I'm an influencer. I coach people that were formerly incarcerated and their family, and I help them with making the transition from prison to civilian, called the reentry. Also with changing their mindset of being institutionalized, because if you do 15, 20, 10 years, my man, you are institutionalized. And the worst part is you don't even know you're institutionalized. So I actually coach people on this type of shit, man. And I help a lot of people out. I feel very good. I work with the kids. You know, I do a lot of positive shit with the kids. And, you know, I'm definitely a different person. Today, I am a positive pillar in my community, and I feel great, man. They say when you do good things happen. And I look at myself, if I would have to sum up my life in a few sentences, I guess it would be from gangster to prison to pillar in the community. You know what I mean? If I ever wrote a book, that's what the hell I'll name it. From gangster to prison to positive pillar in the community. You know what I mean? And I think that right there sums up my life at this point.
Right. We'll go back a little bit, man. As far as you said institutionalized, right? What is that? I know what it means, but talk to people. Like you come out, like what type of things, like what being institutionalized mean to people who wasn't in prison. Tell us what type of stuff you had to kind of what habits you had to break people out of, if you can.
All right, well, being institutionalized means different things, but the institutionalized I'm talking about is spending X amount of time in prison and being accustomed to that jail mentality. Like I did many, many years in prison, and all of a sudden they released me in one day, and they expected my mindset to go back to a civilian and forget about the 10, 15, 20 years I just did. That's impossible. You have to do some type of therapy. You have to seek help. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And this is what I teach my clients, to break out of that mindset of no longer, like I got a saying that I say, I coach from experience. Mm-hmm. When I came home, this is exactly what I've been through. When I came home, I was dead institutionalized and had no idea that I was institutionalized. I thought the way I thought, everybody else thought. I came home with that criminal mentality, that in the yard mentality. Mm. You know, one of my nephews changed the TV when I came home, and I was ready to pop his head off. You know, like it's real like that. Like, you know, we're not aware of our mindset.
Right.
That we're fucking institutionalized, man.
Right.
And our way of thinking is not cool. You cannot live in society with the same mindset that you was living in prison. So this is where a coach or somebody like me comes in. I help people change that mindset, you know, and I think I do a very good job. I coach a few people a month. Oh God, my I also got up with my ex-parole officer. Who the fuck is that calling? Get out of here. But that's so hang up.
Can you hear us?
Hold on.
All right. Yeah, somebody try to call.
Yeah.
Shit. You got me? So yeah, like I was saying, I got together with my ex-PO, and they paying me to do a workshop for people coming home and teaching them exactly what I just finished talking to you about. So, you know, I'm giving back in that way. I'm giving back to the society in many ways, man.
All right. Now,
It's really a beautiful thing. Hold on. Anybody out there that would want to get at me, I'm also a motivational speaker. So anybody out there that would like any of my services, you could contact me at Charlie Rock LD, Prison Mentality at gmail.com. That's Charlie Rock LD, Prison Mentality at gmail.com. And you know, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean?
Right. So to the people, what would you say? 20 years, right? You've been in prison. Wasn't there ever a time in there where you was like, man, I should have just, you know what I mean, just told on them dudes. You know what I mean? Because I had spent 20 years in prison for holding it down. You never had like one thought, like, man, I could have been out. No.
Nah, because I call myself a DOC baby. I was literally raised in the Department of Correction. And I look at that, call me crazy, call me whatever, but I look at that, I wear that as a badge of honor. You know, I'm proud of that. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me and they're going to say I'm crazy, but you know, an opinion is like an asshole. Everybody got one. The way I look at it, just like my battle scars and the rips that I got from Rikers Island and all that, you know, I wear those as badges of honor. And I know that the world knows that your boy Charlie Rock LD had an opportunity to rat, and I did not rat. I did not testify. And, you know, I feel great about that. So as far as did I ever think about it? I mean, to be honest with you, yo, I actually never thought about it.
Wow.
I can't say that I actually ever thought about it, you know, as far as like, oh, I should have snitched or whatever. Like, I just, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I just literally never thought about it.
What were they offering you at that time? You can remember to tell. Were they trying to give you a deal if you would have told?
Of course. I mean, first of all, my first bid wasn't that. My first bid, I did at 86. I stuck up Roy Rogers. I don't know if y'all remember Roy Rogers from back in the day.
Yep.
I was 16. It was three of us. We ran up in Roy Rogers with a 30-30 rifle with masking tape holding it together. The shit didn't even fire, yo. That's how G'd up we was. The thing didn't even fire. We had tape holding it together. So anyway, this was 86, I believe it was. So we ran up in there and we stuck them up. I think we came up with like $6,000-$7,000, and I thought I was rich. I was 15, 16, and you know, I thought I would never have to work another day in my life. And you know, I mean, that's just the mentality when you're a teenager, you know. Yeah. But anyway, long story short, they snatched me up, and I was the only one. There was three of us. I was the only one that got snatched up. They offered me 5 years probation because that was my first case, but I had to testify on the other two dudes. I had to point them out. And I was like, nah, I was like, I was out on bail. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look for them. When I find them, I'm going to call the detectives and let them know. Look how G'd up your boy was. I used to come to court with the two dudes. And they would sit there, they would sit in the in the benches while I would go in front of the judge, and the judge would ask me, have you found them yet? And I'm like, I'm still looking for them. And the dudes are sitting right there in front of me. You know what I mean? So after about a year and so, the judge was like, listen, if you ain't finding them by now, you ain't finding them. So I went in and I wound up doing a bullet on the island. And that was in C76. Yeah, I did a bullet on the island. That was actually the first bullet. A bullet is a year.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I got you. Now, real quick, did you hear about T.I.? I don't know if you heard about it. And his I want to get your opinion on it. And about he pretty much said that he told.
I think he said he told on somebody and the dude was dead.
Yeah, it was his cousin, and his cousin passed away. You can still consider him a rat. I kind of gave him a pass for that. But how you feel about it?
I think I would have to think about that one, man.
Yeah.
I mean, a rat is a rat. You know what I mean? You know, it is what it is, you know, but the dude is dead. So, I mean, I think I would have to, you know, ponder on that a minute. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt. I respect that.
I'm not saying I'm giving him a pass, but you know, we'll have to think about it. The dude is dead. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's gonna do any time.
Yeah.
Well, we got Charlie Rock LD on the Hip Hop and Censor podcast. Hit that like button. Follow that man on YouTube. He has a YouTube platform. Go ahead and support. Hey, brother, we definitely appreciate your time. If you got anything else you want to get to the people real quick, the floor is yours. If not, give me your social media handles where they can find you. We definitely appreciate your time.
As you already know, if you want to contact me for any of my services, Charlie Rock LD, prisonmentality@gmail.com. I also have my own podcast. It's called Charlie Rock LD, Reppin' the Real, which is actually my YouTube page. So you guys can hook up my YouTube page on here. I would like y'all to subscribe, rock with your boy. The podcast is Keeping It Real. I talk about all types of real topics, you know, and I be having great shows. I only got like 3-4 shows out, and they're all at mad thousands already. That, you know, people's feeling the kid. It is what it is, you know. And like I said, your boy went from gangster to prison to positive pillar in the community. You know, always remember that when you do good things happen, man. God is good. God is good. When you do good things, my people, good things happen. Rock with your boy, Charlie Rock LD. We in the yard.
Yes, the original member of the Terror
The
Squad.
original member of the Terror Squad. Putting in that work. Read that book of Jose, so you can see how your boy was holding Fat Joe down. In his own words, he gave 100 stories on how I was holding him down. Gave him his first burner. He even spoke about how there was 100 dudes outside his building. And he calls me. I pop up 20 minutes later looking like the Terminator, wearing a trench. Check it out, wearing a trench with a shotgun in the middle of summer, air shit out. Like, you know, listen to your boy. You know what I mean? Your boy is the truth. Charlie Rock LD, OGBX legend. You already know. Rock with your boy. It was a pleasure. I want to thank you guys for having me on your jump off. And, you know, I hope we can do this again. Make sure y'all put my link on your jump off. You heard?
Yes, sir. Got you, bro.
Anytime you want to come back.
Anytime you want to come back. You already know, man. Stay up. Hip Hop News Uncensored. I fucks with y'all. We in the yard. One.
Appreciate it.